Hey, it's LSFT here again. Today we're celebrating the 1 month ownership of the NX450h Plus. We're going to talk about the likes and dislikes and anything I've observed during this 1 month of ownership. Hopefully this will give you some insights on the vehicle that you're waiting for or the vehicle that you are planning to put an order for. Charging the NX450h Plus typically takes about 11 and a half hours to charge. I am using a level 1 charger that came with the vehicle, and when I plugged it the first time, it actually showed 10 and a half hours. I was thinking, oh, that's not too bad. But then 10 minutes later, it became 11 and a half hours. You will never drain the battery to 0%. What typically happens is when it moves to HV and when it says that there's no more EV range, the vehicle still has 30% battery. I've been looking at the Lexus app and it shows that I have local dealerships around my area that provides free chargers. So I've actually been there a few times charging my vehicle. Typically it takes about, I would say, 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours to fully charge the vehicle. When it is fully charged, we typically get 58 kilometers to 62 kilometers, and it depends on how cold it is and if you're using the AC or not. As you all may know, I live in the north. I live in Canada, in the Greater Toronto area, and when I picked up my car, it was around the end of March. Supposedly spring has come, but the weather was still a bit chilly. On a day where it was minus 12 degrees Celsius, when I started the vehicle and I turned on the auto climate controls, the engine fired up. Okay. And then another day where it was 1 or 2 degrees, but my windshield was a bit foggy. So I went and turned on the front defogger. The, the it started blowing air, but the engine also turned on. So the plug-in hybrid will still turn on the gas engine when you need heat. The heat pump definitely does not supply instant heat, and the car will still turn on the gas engine if needed. Another thing is the heat pump. The heat pump is something that is noticeable when you do not have many music or anything. You would notice that the heat pump is operating, and I also feel that there is vibrations on the gas pedal. There are many times where I take the car for a very short drive, for an example, to the gym. I would actually not turn on the auto climate control. The heated seat and the heated steering wheel actually gives enough warmth during the spring season or even up to minus 10 degrees Celsius. It would still be enough for me to take that short ride and avoid having to run the climate controls and be able to still reserve some EV range. One of the reasons of buying a plug-in hybrid or even a hybrid vehicle is to save on gas. That's one of the reasons, but not the only reason. And this car, I would say, if you're driving short distances within town, just picking up groceries, you're not going to use any gas at all. Like, I've driven this vehicle around 700 plus kilometers for this first month, and you only use really a quarter tank of gas, and that was purposely used, meaning I actually purposely turned on the HV so that the gas engine will start so that I can consume some of the gas. If I wasn't doing these videos and not forcing the car to go to the HV, I probably would have been using less. And also, people will also think about, okay, I'm saving a lot on gas, but never really think about, okay, plugging it at home still has a cost. From what I've been doing calculations, it looks like one fill up of fully charging the 60-ish kilometers really costs me less than $2 Canadian to do a full charge. That is definitely much cheaper than going out there and buying 6 point something liters of premium fuel at today's price. As part of the new NX, we cannot avoid not to talk about this Lexus interface. That 14-inch screen is huge. A lot of people said, wow, it's a large screen. But again, a brand new infotainment system, we can't avoid not having any bugs. There's definitely issues, but it's not as refined as everybody would like. But as I work in the IT industry, totally understand that there will be bugs. The first update process actually went quite smoothly. It took about 10 minutes, and I have a video on that, and it wasn't too bad. I've also experienced profiles that they aren't loading, even when I connected my key to my profile. One thing I did notice is sometimes if you go into your vehicle, start up the car very fast, the the car couldn't pick up your phone and couldn't load up your profile that easily. And I've also noticed Bluetooth issues, but I don't think that is 100% related to the vehicle itself. There are times where Android phones just needs a reboot. Even iOS phones would need a reboot. Like I've even heard people with iPhone 13s or 12 and 13s having Qi wireless charging issues. Some people saying doing a full reset, meaning a hard reset, actually solves that problem. So sometimes it's the Lexus interface, sometimes it's the other equipment that's causing the problem. There's definitely a lot of things I like about this vehicle. If not, I wouldn't have even purchased it. I would just probably point a few things I like and a few things I dislike over the first month of ownership. So now we've talked about all the things that I've observed over the first month of ownership. Let's talk about the likes. One thing I like is the color, cadmium orange. It's definitely a head turner, and my previous car was the ultrasonic blue, and now the cadmium orange also shines and looks very sharp under the sun. We've talked a lot about the gas consumption in my observations. Really like how the plug-in hybrid really works. The 62 kilometers, definitely enough for me for a daily drive, and almost like I don't really need to use a lot of gas. Last but not least, the ride. This rides much better than the previous generation NX. It absorbs the holes and the bumps much better, and handling is superb. Wouldn't say it's a sports car, but definitely much better than the previous generation. And now to the dislikes. There's definitely things that I don't like about this vehicle. It's not perfect. First thing is closing the door. You do need to put more pressure or push harder to actually close this door comparing to the previous generation. Three strikes and you're out. I've seen a few times where my wife was trying to close the door and she couldn't close it. Next is the steering wheel. One thing I dislike about this steering wheel is actually not these touch sensitive controls, but it's actually this piece of plastic. I feel that they could have done a little bit better with this piece of plastic. If I'm holding it on from the back, I feel it's scratchy, and they could have done better. You could say that I'm a bit picky, but that piece of plastic is a bit too hard. The last thing is this piano black that's so reflective and it collects dust and it's very hard to maintain. I've even chipped it a little bit because my camera fell onto the piano black. It hurts. So here you have it, 1 month of ownership. Next week I'm going to the inspection maintenance, and I'll be getting my dash cam installed. So click on that subscribe button and you'll see more videos about my NX. Cheers.